Hi there, my name's Ben. I'm from South Australia. I've been watching some videos on YouTube about near-death experiences and people meeting Jesus. I've watched people have testimonies about coming to Jesus, which is really cool to see, which has really made me want to do a quick video. I've never done any of this stuff before. This is new for me. But something tragic has actually happened in our family in the last 2.5 months. So I thought, while it's still fresh in my mind, I wanted to explain to you guys my own testimony of actually Jesus coming to me. I'm already a believer. Jesus actually, I thought I knew Jesus for a fair while. I was just one of those Christians that in and out, learn things, think you know things. But then my neighbour, to sum things up, actually pulled me aside one day and actually started telling me the truth. And then I actually realised what I thought I knew was not really much at all. So I actually started to learn about Jesus properly and actually started to have a relationship with him instead of just reading a book. So in the last 8 years, I've really started to try and start learning. And in the last couple of months, tragically, our 14-year-old daughter passed away. And something I didn't think I'd be facing or going through. She passed away from an asthma attack and maybe something to do with cardiac. We're still waiting on results because it was only a couple of months ago. But I just want to share with you how, even though I obviously believe in Jesus and God, that the night that it actually happened, to sum it up, to like really make it quick, the night it actually happened, she passed out in front of us. I think we had 2 minutes to react. It was just come out of nowhere, this attack come on, and she just pretty much fainted. Our hospital was literally not even a minute away from us, so that's good. So we rushed her to the hospital. I helped the nurses with CPR, and they tried everything. The doctor was on his way. So they tried everything. I was helping them with that. And the doctor came. They tried to do everything they could. They were working on her for a while. And they couldn't save her. And I just, like any parent would, just lost it at that moment. And just didn't know what to do. It was so surreal the whole time I'm holding her. And I obviously just broke down and just crying for ages with her. Couldn't believe it happened. Now, in the most tragic thing that could ever happen to me in my life that I've ever experienced is the moment I'm upset holding my daughter, seeing the way she was and feeling the way she was when they left me alone with my wife. I remember just crying, and in that moment, I actually I didn't actually blame him, and for some reason, thinking about it now, I never thought why did this happen to me or anything. I just couldn't believe it happened. But in the moment of being so upset and going through these emotions, obviously just losing my precious daughter, everything happened in an instant, within a moment. As I was having this moment, holding my daughter, being upset, I actually asked God that I want to know she is where I think she is, and I need an answer. I need an answer. Now, my daughter was a strong believer as well, which is really, really good. And I just knew she talked about Jesus and the Christian songs all the time. She loved learning about him. She was really, really good in that way. Awesome, awesome kid. And long story short, as I asked God to come down and give me an answer, as soon as I thought of the answer, I had this, it felt like a whole blanket, if I can describe it that way, a whole blanket just came over me and just comforted me. And for a second there, I sort of just stopped, and I couldn't really feel anything except just warmth and love in this darkest moment of what's just happened. So And all I got this urge and feel through my whole body was, it's all okay. She is where she needs to be. She's with me. Don't worry. It's okay. Which was weird because I had like 30 seconds of all this information and feeling. Then it actually made it worse. I actually started getting more upset because I couldn't believe that I'm thinking and feeling this while I'm holding I've just lost my 14-year-old daughter. Which made me more upset because I started thinking, do I really care? I went through so many emotions after it, but it was it felt like a 10-second moment where you knew everything, which was how it was meant to be. Not the situation, but she is where she is. And that just really, it didn't confuse me, but it gave me comfort for the moment. And then all the other things happened from there. So after that, the funeral people came. They came and took her. I helped them with that. For a few days after that, obviously going through, because I still have a 13-year-old boy, just going through emotions and stuff and waiting to get results back. And then we knew the funeral was coming and all the stuff that happens. This is the first time it's ever happened to me, so I didn't know what you're meant to do or anything like that. But the day came where we had to do the viewing for her, and I honestly wasn't sure about going for starters, but the way that I saw my daughter when I last saw her wasn't really good. So I wanted to go for my peace of mind to see just to see her one more time in a better condition. My wife couldn't go. We didn't. My 13-year-old, so they didn't go. So my brother and my brother and his wife went with me. So we went down the car, and we went and saw her, and I stood there for myself for maybe 10 minutes, just looking at her, and I was just praying. And I had received numerous messages and coincidences, which I knew it was Jesus telling me, God telling me. But I wanted to know, so I remember being over her, looking at her, thinking this is probably the last time we're going to see her here. And God, I just need to know she is where she is. I'm pretty dumb when it comes to signs and stuff, so he needs to really show me. I'm asking, I'm begging I need to know where she is. I knew where she was, but I just wanted confirmation that she is in heaven and with him as he's promised. So we got out of there. I think we're there for about 40 minutes. And then my brother and his wife came, and we were looking at her, talking about her for 10 minutes. And then we left. And then on the way home, which was in a country town, on the way home, leaving there about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes after leaving, seeing my daughter, we're on our way back to home in the car, and literally about 5 minutes down the road, I look up, and I got this feeling to my left, and I turn to the left, and there's this massive cloud. It was a cloudy day, but there was this massive cloud with zigzags all through it, and there's this one piece that was just so white and so different, and on the other end was full on bright green, yellow and red, just going through one end tail of this cloud, and the other part was completely different white. Now, it wasn't dewy or anything to have a rainbow, and it wasn't see-through like a rainbow either. It was just strong colours that you could see for ages away. And we actually couldn't believe it. We're just all in awe, just staring at this one weird cloud out of nowhere. It was unbelievable. And I turned and I said to my brother's wife, I said, when I stand over Naomi, I wanted God to give me a visual sign. That's what I asked for, to know that she is where she is. And she said to me, she goes, I think you've got your answer. So we stood there looking at it just in awe, just looking at this on the side of the road. And then we noticed it started to fade away. This one cloud, out of all the clouds in the whole sky, this one cloud just started to fade. And we're just staring at it going, oh, it's going away. And none of us decided to even take pictures or anything. So I thought, while it's fading off, pictures. So we all took out our phones and started taking pictures of this one cloud. And within 5 minutes, this one with all the colour in the tail and just pure white, and the other, that one cloud just faded away to nothing, while the other cloud stayed there, which is really, really odd. So I'll put some pictures of that up at the end of this video so you can see. It was unbelievable. Then came the day of the funeral. I actually fasted that morning. I just prayed to God that He could give me the strength to get through the day, because I didn't know how we were going to do it, to be honest. And I fasted and prayed for about 20 minutes, and He actually delivered on that as well. For the funeral, I was able to, with some help, we wrote the eulogy for my daughter, and I got up and people said I wasn't going to be able to say it, and I just had this feeling, I'm going to do it. It's for her. I want to do it for my daughter. God said I can do it, so I can do it. I got up and I said it. Actually got through it quite all right. I was able to be a pallbearer as well, and I was there, the last one there, to see everybody before they went. And my actual first plan was to do the quick part at the church and then just go home, because I couldn't deal with it. But I got told I was going to be able to deal with it, and He delivered on that again. Just to quickly sum it up, it's just a message of the people out there that Jesus is real, and He really stands by His word on what He says. It's absolute true. And I don't know how. I mean, I know I'm not the only one that's gone through this with someone really close passing away. But the truth is, God's there. I know He was there that night that it happened. He was there to help me with the funeral. And also, I remember reading in the book of John, that He said that if anyone asks anything in my name, that I'll do it. So I really thought, well, I'm going to ask something else in your name, because He's never left my side. He's never left me nor forsake me, which is what He says. So I thought, I want to see where she is in heaven. I know she's there. I know God keeps His word. But I'd like to, if I could just, ever since this happened, it's been a couple of months now, and I've been praying and fasting a bit and praying just to spend 5 minutes with her, see where she is, and nothing. I've never had anything up until a couple of days ago. One night I fasted at work, and I was just praying about it, and that's what I really wanted. And I kept thinking about it. I had no idea what would be in heaven or anything like that. To cut it short, I just wanted to know where she was, and make sure she's all good, which she would be if she's in heaven. And that was pretty much it. I wasn't expecting anything like a full tour of heaven or anything like that. But the night I went to bed that night, after trying so many nights for 2 months, nothing's ever happened. So that night I dreamt that there was a war in Australia, and I got shot and I died. And the next thing I know, I was on top of the scene that happened, and all I remember thinking, that's pretty surreal. That's unbelievable. Next thing, what happened was, within an instance, I was in another area and I was running constantly, well, more like moving very quickly. I'm not sure what type of bodies we'd have in heaven, to be honest. I know what it says, but I didn't know at the time. All I remember was I was just moving quickly, going through rooms. There were so many rooms in this place. And what happened was I knew where I was, even though I'd never been there. And I knew what was going on. I knew where I was, and I knew who I was going to see. I just knew all this information at once. And I was so excited, like a little kid on Christmas, even though I was going through all these rooms, which were empty, but they had stuff in it, but they're all like waiting for somebody. And I didn't feel weird going in these rooms, which is odd. So going through all these rooms, but I knew, I can remember thinking deep in my whole body was, I'm going to see Jesus in a minute. I'm going to see Jesus in a minute. I can't wait. And I went through another 3-4 rooms. By then, I think I'd gone through at least 20 rooms, running for some reason. And I went around the corner and I actually ran into Jesus. And He looked at me and He sort of smiled, and I was sort of awestruck for a minute. It was like meeting a celebrity. And when I was there, he sort of smiled, but there's no talking. Like it's almost like telepathic, like you know what he's saying, and before you can ask the question, he knows what you're saying, so he answers you back as you're saying something, but then you already know the answer as he's telling you. So it's like flowing constantly. It's unbelievable. And the one question I asked straight up was, can I see God? And he actually looked at me and he said, no, you can't see God. And I thought, okay. And he said to me, he says, no one can see God because God's everywhere. And this is actually something I never even thought about before. My personal opinion, what I kind of thought God was this like Jesus, but bigger, more powerful, I guess, or something. But I never had it explained to me. Like no one's ever talked to me like this before, so it was actually a learning curve for me. But basically, in a nutshell, he told me that God was everything in everything, woven through everything. He's the sustainer of everything. He's through everything. He's light. He's eternal. He's beginning, the end, the whole lot. So, and Jesus is the one that we talk to see. He's like the mediator, basically, and he's made in our image. So then we can identify with somebody who's made like us. We can relate to him. So, which is all in 1 minute. It was crazy, and I thought it actually makes sense to me. And then when I read the Bible and I see that God's light, God's this, God, and I thought it actually really makes sense. So it was actually unreal. So then the next thing I thought, cool. So then the next thing I asked was, can I eat? And he sort of chuckled and laughed, and he said, well, you can eat if you want. You don't have to, but you can if you want. And I thought, cool, that's awesome. And then the next thought came into mind is, I want to see Naomi. As soon as that thought came into my head without even saying anything, it was just like, bang, I was in this room. And this room is where my daughter was, and I actually saw her, and she was actually a little bit older. Like I said, my daughter passed a few months ago when she was 14. And she looked more like mid-20s, low 20s, really good. And the first thing she said to me, can you rub my back? She was Afghan, so I was rubbing her back, and I thought, man, I'm here for eternity anyway. We can just do what we want. It was awesome. And I had this whole strange feeling of a dog there. And I'm not really an animal person, to be honest, but there was this strong sense the whole time I was there. I was trying to look around for this dog. And then actually, when I told my wife about this, a dog that my daughter was close to, who was around before she was born, our dog passed away about 5 months before her. So, well, my wife was a bit like, that's probably our dog that was with her. So maybe, I don't know, but I just had this strong presence of this dog. I got to see her for a couple of, probably 5 minutes in our time, but there's no time in heaven, obviously. It's just eternity. But when I think about it, I pretty much got what I asked for, and I actually learnt a lot. So I wasn't influenced by anything. I didn't see anything else. I pretty much just got what I asked for with a little bit extra information. So I just want to do this quick video to let you know that Jesus is there, he's real, he sticks by his word. When I read John, I think it's John 14, it says that our Father's house has many mansions, many rooms. And that's where I thought when I woke up, when I read that after, I thought I was actually in God's house, going through all those rooms, and Jesus said, I'll prepare a place for you, and that's where I will be also, and you'll know where you are and where you'll be. So it really clicked to me after. I thought, well, that's where I was. He actually prepared a place for it, which he said he would. He'd be there like he said he would. And everything I've asked for in Jesus' name has actually come through and really helped me out a lot. So if it wasn't for Jesus and being a Christian and learning and actually having a relationship with him, honestly, I think I'd be suicidal right now. So all I'm saying is that there is hope out there. Just believe in Jesus, and anything you ask in his name with an open heart, he will deliver. I think it's great to keep listening to testimonies of people going through the same thing. There's a common thread through everything, so obviously there's definitely something out there, and yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you, and hopefully help somebody that's out there that's going through the same thing or will be going through the same thing, that Jesus is there to help you. So you ask him and he'll come through. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.